Man, I want to get right into it. For many of which who have probably heard your music, but not got a chance to really know who Big Breeze, the artist, is. Man, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, bro?
Man, like I'm a Christian rapper, man, from Atlanta, Georgia, from like the West Side. Come
Mm.
from the trenches, come from the poverty. I love Jesus. I go hard by Jesus. I
Yeah,
love making music, man, for sure, and that's me.
that's it. That's it in a nutshell. I love some Jesus, and I'm from the trenches. Yeah, man. So,
For sure.
for now, not all of our audience is of hip hop background of
Right.
urban, right, of that context. Could you give some context as to what you mean, about trench baby, or because I've heard you kind of or seen you kind of use that verbiage before. What does it mean to be in the trenches for those who may not understand?
Man, I mean, just like poverty, like coming from like maybe a single parent home or maybe just coming
Mm,
from the less fortunate. Just just a lot of just craziness.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, a lot of craziness around you. Sometimes you can't eat. Sometimes it's hard to get a meal. So
yeah.
it's trench baby.
Man, I get that. I get that. Yeah, yeah. Coming from the rough, where um, despair, and I could be wrong. I've got a background of myself as well, but I never try to compare my upbringing or lack thereof and just say, oh yeah, I know exactly what you feel like. But um, oftentimes when there is a lack of resources and maybe sometimes a lack of support, despair can kind of really set in on people. What was that like for you growing up? Like, did you at a young age realize like, hey, where I'm at and what I have is not necessarily what I want for the rest of my life in terms of resources or wherever? Was that something that you kind of came to at a young age, or how was that for you?
I wouldn't say it came at a younger age. Like I ain't grew up in church at all.
Yeah.
So, like one day, just something quickly. Just like one day, I was just sitting in like a trap, like
Mm.
just like a people don't know what a trap is. It's just like a abandoned place or like a
Mm.
residence used to just sell, like
Yeah.
drugs, things in that order. But just sitting there and just like I felt like something just hit me, like just that man that woke me up, that had me look around. I was about like 18, 19, and I just could see everything around me in a full like clear vision.
Yeah.
I knew I was just tired of living like this, and I knew that moment I knew like I wanted something different, something to change. Like it was just boring. I'm tired
Mm.
of living the same old life. Tired of looking behind my back everywhere I walk. Tired of gambling. Tired of just doing this to get some little scraps. I'm tired of that. It was just
Yeah.
like this tired feeling, like just exhausted.
I appreciate the transparency on that about just being tired of it, because then it reminds me of the scripture where it says, "Come to me, all who are weary, right, and need rest." Um, when so you said you didn't grow up in church, you didn't necessarily have that background. I guess kind of talk us through like at what point. So you're talking about 18, 19. You realized, I looked up, basically your eyes became unveiled, right? Like
For
what
sure.
you where you were in your life was like, okay, this is just what we do, this is how it happens. And then something happens, unveiled, and you're like, yo, I realize this is not it. There is more meant for me in this life. At what point from there did you end up getting to know anything about God at all?
I feel like at that point, at that moment, um, because I had like dropped out of school and everything, so
Mm,
I was just trying to get back caught up. I just wanted to finish school and try to get my life back together.
yeah.
But probably like maybe a year or two after that,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up like going into this church, like this church up the street from the spot. Like I remember just walking there, and then first time I didn't go in, then turned around, went back home like, nah, I'm tweaking. Then
Mm,
like the second time I went in, and I just was in there listening. I didn't really know what was too much going on, but I was just listening.
mm-hmm.
Then I went in again, and then I seen like the plug, and that was
Mm,
crazy. That's what really did it. I was like, whoa, bro, do what I be doing outside. So he in here. It might be something in here that I can use or gain from just coming in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of was like just a turning point, like me trying to see what God was about or what Jesus was about.
Wow. Wow. That's dope. To even be at a point where you're in there and you're realizing that you wanted something different, something
Right.
is different, and hats off to you to keep going back in there, even though you didn't necessarily understand or feel, realize, what was going on at the time too. So you're going back to the church. You're trying to realize there is something different going on for my life. Here I
Right.
am. I'm understanding it. I'm feeling something different. I don't quite totally understand it, but I'm understanding that there is something different here. What kept you?
So like my grandparents is actually the reason like how I do know like who God and Jesus was. So like
Oh, okay, okay,
every if I when I went down there for the summer, like
yeah,
parents like
yeah,
ship you off and go down there. They would have Bible study, and I used to be like so sleepy and just tired. Like, bro, what are we talking about? Like,
yeah,
bro, I'm
yeah.
trying to get that to the A. You feel me? Get
Right.
with the bros, da 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 da. So that's kind of like I kind of like when I say I don't know what was like, I don't even ended up how could I start going to like from where I was at in this trap, like
Mm-hmm.
start going to a church. It just did was not connecting. Like, dang, how did I end up here? Like,
Mm.
you feel me? Like,
Okay.
how did I? And that's still crazy to me. Like, I know it was Holy Spirit and God, just because
Mm.
of my grandma prayers. I talk about right about it. My grandma prayers, my granddaddy prayers, just them praying for me constantly. I know that's what really saved my life and got me up out of there. And really
Mm.
gave me a chance to see better things in life by even taking that step and going into the church and just seeing what they was talking about.
Amen. Amen to anybody who's out there praying wholeheartedly for their loved ones. Because yeah, it's the power of prayer, and you don't know, right? You don't know. I'm sure, Grandma was praying, trusting the Lord, and and at the same time going, man, he keeps making these decisions. Man, he keeps doing this. That's all right. I'm gonna keep praying. I'm gonna keep praying. Like that faithfulness is what moves mountains, right?
Okay.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So okay, so you get into church. Take me from there. Like, how did you get to a point where okay, this is cool, this is interesting, this is impacting me a little bit different, but then there's still got to be a switch of like, okay, but I actually want this for my life.
Gotcha. So man, like I said, I was going to the church up the street from the spot.
Yeah.
And oh, I forgot one day I was coming from somewhere. I was on the MARTA bus, and I
Yeah.
ran into one of my little bros from high school. We used to just run around and kick it, and we was just like we ended up relinking and just started like back hanging out and just chilling and doing God knows what.
Mm-hmm.
But he was going to church. He was like, "Bro, you want to come to my church?" I
Mm.
was like, "Dang, I did just start going to this one church." I was like, I come check it out. So
Yeah.
ended up going, he come scoop me. We ended up going. But the church was kind of like the environment was different. It was a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, like wasn't that many people.
Yeah.
And I remember like he had a real good relationship with the pastor, so after service, the pastor and talked to him, and then he ended up talking to me. And then when we was talking, it was just like having a conversation with a regular dude.
Mm.
He just asking questions and just telling me about the gospel, and then asked me what I do. And I'm telling him, like, man, I rap. Like, I do music.
Mm.
At this time, I wasn't doing no Christian rap. And then I was just doing, like, my own thing in the world, trying to come up.
Yep.
And he heard it. He was like, it's good. It's cool. But what you doing it for? And then, like, when he said that, it was just, like, something that stuck. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get some money, trying to whoop, whoop,
Yep.
get my family right.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, but you got to have a purpose behind it.
Woo!
And
Yes,
that's
sir. Yes. That's a
that kind of like stuck, and I was like, "What do you mean?" Like,
yeah.
and then he challenged me to do like a Christian, gospel song. So I went home that night and like tapped in. I was like, man, because I'm gonna take a challenge. Every time somebody challenges me, I know I can do it. So
That's
I
what's
went
up.
and did it. Came back, let him hear. He was like, "Oh, no, this is good." Made me perform it that Sunday. Like I'm
Oh
just like,
dang.
"Oh,
He said,
right."
"Get
I
up
was
on
just like,
stage. Let's
"Whoa,
go."
right." And that was crazy. So just knowing, but in the midst of that, I had to I had to break away from the worldly music and start doing the Christian music.
Yeah.
So like God was like putting this ball of like I don't know, just sickness feeling every time I would try to do like regular worldly music. It
Mm-hmm.
was like but I had peace when I'm listening to like my Christian song or trying to do something for the Lord. And I just knew right then and there was like I know He calling me. You feel me? Calling me to do it on this side. Like let me
Yeah.
just see what's. Let me give this a chance. And I gave the world a chance all my life. Let me just see what Jesus God is talking about. Let me just see what this walk looking like. Let
Yeah.
me see what it brings to my life.
Man, that's cool. Okay, so you got in. So how long was it until they asked you go ahead, challenge you, and then you went on stage? Like how long were you attending that church?
Man, like 2 months, man. Probably less
Okay.
than that. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2 months, probably. Just like straight into it, and like, but I felt like that's for me. It was I needed that because I knew I probably want to stay there if something like that probably wouldn't happen. Like,
Okay, and so I love that you said that because one of the things that I kind of correlate to my own story also is when I first started going to church. I so summer 2000, I first started going to church. I was
mhm.
there. I want to say almost like you, like almost like 2 months. Like it wasn't long at all, and I was the um, I was the like, hey, just be outside every single Sunday. Somebody's gonna come pick you up, right? Because my family wasn't going to church or whatever, and
Right.
so I'm like, okay, bet. So every morning, I'm out there. Somebody pops up. I know who. Obviously, I got like the same three cars that kind of rotate in and out, and so sometimes they'll be playing their worship songs, going in, and I would just sing along with it. It's like everybody else was singing
Yeah.
with the car, so I started doing it. And I kid you
Right.
not, bro, about like I said, about 2 months or so, whatever. One of them decided they were going to be funny, and they were like, oh yeah, like he can actually sing or whatever. And so this guy, his name is Larry Bridges. At the time, there's just so much that he was doing for the church, but his wife was the worship leader, and that Sunday morning, bro, I've got some like camo. This is again early 2000s. I got some camo pants with like a black shirt or whatever, and I like it was just like I don't know, I was not dressed for nothing. Okay,
For sure. Yeah.
but he told me, he's like, he goes, I heard you could sing, and I was like, I mean, like I guess I'm singing in the car with everybody else. I don't know what that means. He's like, he
Right.
goes, oh, he's like, well, you gonna come up on stage and sing? And I was like, no, I am not.
Right.
It's like 2 months in. I'm like, bro, I don't even really know Jesus like that. Like, no, I will not. And then
Right.
I kid you not, he grabbed me by my ear, took me up on stage, and then like as he was starting to walk off stage, I was like, Larry, I don't even know the words. He goes, you see that projector? Because that's what we had at the time. You see that projector? I was like, yeah. He goes, now you know the words, and then
That's
just left.
crazy.
And as soon as he said that, all of a sudden the drummer went boom, and then just they started the worship right there. And I was like,
Dang. Put you right on spot. That's crazy.
bro. But I love what you just said though. I love what you said. If something like that had not had happened, you might not have continued to the church. And this by no means, for a disclaimer to everybody who might be listening on the replay, this
Right.
by no means that you must perform at church or
Right.
you're not going to stay at church. That is not what we're
No,
saying.
no, no, no. For
That
sure.
just happens to be part of the story, but that's not what it is, right? So
Right.
okay, so I love the fact that happened. Did you, while you were writing, did you go, man, this crap is corny, like I can't keep it clean or I can't do this or whatever, or like were you just really enjoying the challenge?
Of course, I was like, man, not because what really made me sticking to it because I'm like, at this point, I had got challenged,
Mm-hmm.
but he also was preaching and ministering, so I'm coming back. So I don't like, all right, God, I don't know how you gonna keep me. And then my buddy would play like Lecrae and KB,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it was cool, but it just wasn't doing it for me. Though. I'm just like, So I'm like, God, you gotta do something.
Right.
So
Right.
even when I'm writing, I'm like, no, I ain't trying to be like everybody else. I need just like something that's gonna, hit.
Yeah.
I start like trying to tap into like different like just like 808, like the drums, the things I start choosing, the drums was causing like people to look crazy. Like, hold on, man, this is crazy. Like I was choosing like real trap 808s, distorted drums, and like,
Yeah.
but rapping like the like trying to, rapping the spirit over everything.
Yeah.
And like it started like that's what made it stop looking corny to me when I started switching up like the music, like the
Gotcha.
actual beats. Cause
Yeah.
you'll tell the producer like, bro, I'm trying to do this, and they'll send you some church type of stuff, and I'm like, nah, bro, just send me something regular. I got the wordy part, I got the other part, so
Yeah.
just that. Then it started becoming a challenge because it's like, okay, now let me see what I can really do. What can I really say? And
Yeah.
still, as I'm a beginner, so I really don't know too much to talk about. Like
Yep.
I'm just talking about the simple things like the spirit and like living water type of situations,
Yep.
just some simple stuff.
Yep. You took up a challenge, and from that challenge, you used what you had at the time,
For sure.
and just being faithful with that challenge right there, just what was the entry point as to what it is that you're doing now. Like, had you not even been faithful of trying to do it right, like, when I say right, I mean like trying to actually bring some kind of context. So like, yeah, you may not have known a whole lot, but you also, and obviously I wasn't there, of course, but like, you also didn't just blow it over and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do all this stuff and then try to say Jesus one time. Like, you actually try to spin it in such a way that it's like, okay, well, I still want to be really dope at my craft because I still like to rap. I still actually enjoy that, and I'm not going to water it down,
For
even
sure.
beat wise. Like, I love that. I'm not even going to water down the beat just so I can make it Christian. You're like, nah, give me what it is that I want, because if I don't really care for the Lecrae stuff and all that at the time, somebody else out there probably not going to care for it. So I want something that I rock with, which
For
then, of
sure.
course, as time goes on, you start to find people who rock with it also, and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one who likes this sound. Let's go. This is for a whole different group of people that God gave you a platform to do, and that's awesome, man. I love that, bro.
That's what I tell people. I said I had to. It became a moment in my life where I was like, "Oh, this ain't even about me no more. This ain't even. This is creating something new. This is bringing somebody to Him just through the music. Like, because if
Yeah,
it could it attract their ears, they want to know like, dang, what he talking about? Like, how he get where he at? I hear what he's saying in his music,
yeah,
and it's hard. Hey, what is he talking about? So it start creating that conversation or that thought in their head, like, who is Jesus? Like.
yep.
Now they want to open the Bible. Now they want to see what the church. Like, let me go take a step in church.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, so with that, so that's the non-believers, right, or the people who are kind of outside looking in and whatever. How was the response from inside? Because
yeah.
inside people be a little bit different. Because like, whoa, now you sounding
Right.
like somebody else now.
Like so, in the beginning, it was definitely like trying to, man, definitely like trying to get through a locked door. But the people was accepting it. So it was like even on
mm,
different platforms, I was sending music, and they'd be like, ah, this is too worldly or something. Or I have somebody from a church or something like, I don't think this is yeah Christian, but they listen to the beat. I had to. It was so many times like you listen to the beat, you're not listening to the words.
mm-hmm.
And then once people really start listening to like, let me see what he really talking about.
Yep. Yep.
You just start like cutting through. It really start cutting through even on platforms where they would start looking in the comments like, hey, everybody's saying play this, so let me play it and actually listen.
Yeah.
And then that's how we got to where we at. Just
Dang.
if it's meant for you, I would say this: if it's meant for you, God gonna make sure it happens. Nobody can stop that. Can't no platform stop that. Can't no human being, Mother
Woo.
Nature, none of that stop that. If God said it's for you, it's for you.
Yes, sir. Woo. Yes, sir.
For
If it's
sure,
for you, it's for you.
for
And
sure.
you know what? And that's a word to anybody out there who is waiting on a job, waiting on something specific, rather it's relationship, like whatever it may be. If it's
Right,
for you, truly it is for you. Like, you cannot force God to do something. First off, on your time,
for
you can
sure.
hang that up. You can
Right.
hang that up
Nah,
right
for
now.
sure.
But then also, you can't force yourself. If you, the last thing anybody ever wants to do, hopefully, is to run ahead of God. That's the worst thing to do, because maybe you get to a certain place, rather it's a workplace or a platform or whatever. Maybe you do get there because of your work and how fast you move. But if you're trying to do it ahead of God, it's gonna fall apart.
Every time.
Every single time. It's gonna fall apart, or you'll end up pushing away God and go, I already got this, God. I got me here first. You were taking too long. Your way was not working. It was because of what I did. And then you end up abandoning your faith, not just because you lack faith, but because you start seeing, well, I don't really need him anyways. Okay. Right. And honestly, bro, and I don't know how you feel, but like that's how people do. And I'm in there as well. When your health is great, you cooking, man. You just doing whatever you want to do. Everything's good. Yep, I'll plan this. I can plan that. I can plan this. Man, let you get sick and you realize, oh my gosh, my body just is a weak, beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you start getting sick enough and you're like, ooh, God, now I really need you because now I don't know where this thing's going to go. And it's just like, oh, I'm not saying God causes those things, but now because of those things, you start realizing, man, you just a little boy. You just a little girl in this life.
You need them now.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Hey, if you liked any of this content and you found some value in it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course, share it. Also, if you're interested in some more, go ahead and check out these videos. Till next time, grace and peace. Adios.